everyone, today I'm going to be talking to you about how to help a leopard gecko shed their skin. Most leopard geckos will not need help shedding their skin. However, you should always check when they're done shedding to make sure that they haven't gotten any stuck on their toes, because a lot of the time they end up leaving it behind, and if a toe has skin on it for too long, they can actually self-amputate. This is Marmalade, and Marmalade has a bit of an issue. She has MBD, which is metabolic bone disease. So basically the leg bones that she has are sort of spongy and bent. And because of this, she has difficulty shedding because she can't bend around to reach it properly and she doesn't want to end up hurting herself. Because of this, I sometimes have to help her to make sure that she gets all that shed off. The very first thing you need to do when helping your leopard gecko shed is to make sure they actually need your help. So snakes tend to shed their skin all in one piece, so if they've been stuck to them, you know it's ready to come off. Leopard geckos and most lizards tend to shed in patches because they're eating it and pulling it off. So you might think that a piece of skin is ready to go, and it really isn't. So make sure they're actually ready to go. The very first thing you'll need when you're helping your leopard gecko shed is a tub of warm water. Make sure the water doesn't feel hot to you, because remember, your body is a lot warmer than theirs is because we make our own heat. We're what's called endotherms, which is where we have our heat inside. They're ectotherms, meaning they need to get heat from outside. So first thing is your tub with your warm water and a lid so they don't go running off. Then I like to use cotton buds because they're soft enough to pin down toes and take off skin without actually hurting them. So now that I have everything ready, I'm going to take Marmalade, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hand into the water to make sure that it's not too hot. I'll also let her take her own time getting off me so she doesn't think I've just dropped her into water and she's going to drown. I want her to realise that it's not deep enough for her to need to try and swim or that she'll drown, but it's just deep enough that it just covers her legs and her belly, but her head is completely out of the water so she won't panic. Once she's in the tub and she doesn't look like she's panicking or trying to sprint around the place, I'm happy enough to put on the lid and leave her there for about 3 to 5 minutes and just let it steam up a bit, so it's like a little sauna for her. That way it'll loosen up the skin that's actually still stuck to her, and she'll get a chance to get it off much easier instead of risking pulling it. So it's been about 5 minutes, so I'm going to take off the lid and just check her out and make sure she's okay. And when she's okay, I'm going to take a cotton bud, wet the top of it so that it's not dry and hard, and then I'm going to really gently just place it onto any piece of flappy skin that's coming off and just gently rub against the skin to try and roll it off. I'm just speeding up this part for convenience, but you can see even with this in fast forward, I'm not going fast on her, I'm not rushing her, I'm not being in any way rough at all. You got to be super gentle because you might not realize it, but they might have a piece of skin that isn't ready to go, and if you end up pulling off the old skin on top of really fresh skin that's only just starting to grow, you can actually rip it all off and it'll be like a really big scab, and it just won't be pleasant, and you're going to have to clean that and make sure it doesn't get infected. So it's better to just avoid it altogether by just being super gentle and super careful with them. So after about 5 minutes of having her inside the sauna and using the Q-tips, I've gotten off a lot of the skin on her tail and her stomach, but there's a load left on her chest and on her legs. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tweezers. Now only do this after they've been in the sauna and the skin has had a chance to soften up, because you don't want to accidentally pinch them and you don't want to accidentally rip new skin. So if you need to use a tweezers because it didn't come off in the bath, you can use it like this. Very carefully, you take the most obvious flap of shed skin and you just very gently hold onto it and let her pull against you, because then you know you're not going to pull too hard and you're not going to accidentally injure her. If you find you're having trouble getting the skin off with the tweezers, you can give it a break, you can give them another bath, but just try each of the legs in turn if they have shed on all their legs, because you'll end up loosening the top a bit for more water to get in, and if the water gets between them and their old skin, it'll be looser and much easier to take off. It's important to make sure you don't overly stress your gecko by constantly going at them. If you think that the shed has been stuck on them for a little while, one more day is not going to do any harm. If you want to take off as much skin as you can happily take off, and then the next day try again, give them the evening and night to themselves to relax, that is completely okay. Also, always keep in mind that the one person out there who knows how to take the shed off is your lizard themselves. So if they pause and they go and they try to help you, let them, because they're the ones who know how hard to pull it, and they're not going to accidentally injure themselves pulling off the skin that you've already softened up for them. So again, I'm going to speed up this part, but here Marmalade decided that I wasn't doing a good enough job, she was going to do it herself, which is 100% okay with me. When your Leo helps you out like this, when you're helping them already, it's especially useful when they're an animal that has MBD or some other sort of defect or something wrong with them, because it can just be a little bit more stressful trying to decide yourself how much pressure to put on them and how much to pull and how much to bath them, and am I stressing them too much? And completely honestly, if they're able to do it themselves, leave them to do it themselves, because they know how to do it best. They've been doing it for as long as they're alive. So after I take off as much as I can with the tweezers, it's back into the bath to loosen up the very last of the skin. And like last time, I put my hand in first to make sure it's not too warm, and let herself walk off me as she would like to make sure she knows that she's not actually in danger in here. Of course, until she actually gets her sea legs, she's convinced she's in danger, but I promise you, she is fine. So exactly like last time, lay it on for about 5 minutes or so, take it off, and then use a cotton bud, dip it into the water so that it gets softer, and then use that to very gently try and remove the very last of the skin. If your Leo doesn't like you touching their toes with the cotton bud, it's literally just going to be a game of patience. You just have to wait until they stop moving, and then very gently put it on top of their foot, and then when they pull their foot away, they will be accidentally helping you wipe the cotton bud down towards their toes. So you always wipe from wrist down to toe, because you're trying to rub it off and kind of roll it down their leg and off their foot. Also, this water is just as deep as the original water, only as high as the belly, but it can look like Marmalade is floating a little bit because their tail is nearly entirely fat, and fat floats, so they have floaty butts. So it took me about 10 minutes to get all the skin off of the legs, and then I only had a little bit left on the toes that wasn't coming off with the cotton bud. So what you do is you very carefully pin it down with the tip of your finger, and use the second finger to just very, very gently push the foot away. So it's only for the very, very tips, the skin on the very, very tips of the toes. Make sure to be super gentle and not in any way rough, because if you accidentally pin down a toe and try to push the foot away, you will break their toe. So one quick last check over while she's still in the water, and I don't see any more skin left on her. So I take her out and do a really quick check while she's no longer in the little bath. And when I'm happy that she doesn't have any stuck shed left on any of her toes, or her head, or her mouth, or anywhere around her cloaca or belly, then I'm happy enough to put her onto a bit of tissue paper to dry off, and then she can go back into her house a little bit later. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe or comment below if you have any questions, and I will do my absolute best to help. Thank you for watching.